they were the most talked about names in poker. They were and will always be remembered as the first November 9. And now the time has come for a new group to take center stage. 14 players are left to compete for 9 precious spots. It's a group that includes amateurs, young guns, accomplished pros, and one of the best to ever play the game still seeking his first main event final table.
An incredible knockout blow from Phil Ivey.
Nothing is guaranteed, and no one wants to be left behind. Who will be this year's November 9? It's time to find out. Welcome back to the 40th Annual World Series of Poker presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. I'm Lon McCarran with Norman Chad. Tonight, we finally get there. Inside the Rio, crowds of people surround the 2 remaining tables. We are only 5 eliminations away from making the November 9.
Keep on trucking.
Steve Begleiter, Eric Buckman, and Darvin Moon currently lead the field. Jeff Schulman, who could make a second trip to a main event final table, sits in the middle of the pack. However, all eyes will be on Phil Ivey as he looks to finally break through to the final table. But day 8 has not been kind to him. He's dropped 5 million chips and is among the short stacks.
Well, a short stack is not a tall order for Phil Ivey. He's still my man, and he's still the best.
Which other area did you make it far in the main?
My 4th time. I made it in 27. I'll be coming like 23rd, 18th, and 10th.
They're the worst places.
He actually finished 23rd, 20th, and 10th.
You're not happy unless you have first, though, but...
Didn't you lose a terrible hand where, like, Moneymaker made a boat or something like that?
Didn't you help run Bear Stearns into the ground?
We're trying to tote, yeah.
But ganging up on your guy, Norman, get out there.
He can take care of himself.
All right, let's take a look at the PokerStars.net chip count. Steve Begleiter leads the 14 remaining players fighting for 9 seats. Former chip leader Billy Kopp took a big hit. He's in 5th place. James Aikenhead rounds out the top 9. The pressure's even higher for the bottom of our list, which includes Phil Ivey and the shortest stack, Antoine Saout. The chip average is 13.9 million. There is the Frenchman Saout on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Pocket Cam, Ace Queen of Diamonds.
He watched his sister playing online a couple of years ago and decided to start playing himself.
A raise to 550,000. Action on Eric Buckman, the second biggest stack in the room, Queen 9.
Buckman 1 card from elimination on day 7, now 1 spot from the top on day 8.
Ivey won't play the hand, folded over to Steve Begleiter, the chip leader with pocket 7s.
In the big blind.
And a call.
And he makes the call.
It'll be the biggest stack against the smallest stack.
All right, here we go to the flop. 8, tray 8, Begleiter's pocket 7 still lead.
Check.
He checks his pocket pair.
Checks.
Saout now. That's 650,000. We'll try to end the hand right there.
With his short stack, Saout taking some precarious steps here.
Hoping Begleiter missed the flop.
Get $1,500,000.
Steve says, no, Antoine, we're just getting started. He raises to 1.5 million. Members of Begleiter's Home Poker League looking on anxiously.
Begleiter has become a check raise connoisseur, and he correctly is going to prey on the short stack.
Saout says, you want to play it like that? I'm all in.
I'm stunned. Saout misses the flop and bluff shoves for his last 5 million chips.
Begleiter needs more than 3.6 million to call.
I really think you have ace-king or ace-queen.
Spot on read.
If that's the case, I have you beat. I've been playing with you a long time, and you're a very solid player. I've never seen you not have a hand.
Saout banking his main event on that history.
And if you have a very big pair, I'm in trouble.
But Begleiter's the one with the pair.
Nice bet, sir.
Great bet.
The small stack forces the big stack to fold on a bluff and shows it.
Begleiter agitated. Ooh.
Whoa, hang on, buddy.
Isn't that a personal foul?
Saout takes the pot.
What a great play by Saout.
Steve Begleiter stews about getting bluffed, while Antoine Saout will continue playing for one of the 9 final table seats. At this stage of the tournament, every decision is critical. The margin for error razor thin. Norman, the time has come. The November 9 will soon be known. Well over 6,400 people have already experienced the heartache that comes from being knocked out of this main event. Yet there is little doubt that the next eliminations will hurt most.
Lawn poker is a cruel game, and even the best players with the biggest stacks can be gone in an instant. You don't think Phil Ivey's still haunted by Chris Moneymaker's full house? Most people don't get another opportunity like this. So to my main man and the fortunate few remaining, I offer some advice. Tread carefully. You may never see these waters again.
Ivey has seen these waters before and been sunk each time before reaching the promised land of the final table. Over at table 2 of Jeff Schulman, who made the main event final table in his first try in 2000. He can join Mike Matusow and Dan Harrington as the only players to make 2 main event final tables this decade. Action at table 2 on Darvin Moon. He will not play this hand. James Calderero folds. Billy Kopp, right now, 5th in chips. He folds. Van Lamb gets out of the way. Kevin Schaffel in a small blind. King 8 of hearts.
Schaffel says his motto is patience and calm. He does look patient and calm.
A raise to $600,000 to the big blind. Jordan Smith, Jack 10 offsuit.
Smith lists one of his hobbies as sleeping. I believe he's a step ahead of the game.
He makes the call from the big blind. So Schaffel and Smith will see a flop. It is Queen, King 9. Smith flops a king high straight. Schaffel got top pair. It's all diamonds, but neither player holds a diamond. Schaffel's going to bet it $850,000.
Smith might raise here to put pressure on Schaffel in case he has a diamond draw.
Nope, just a call.
Or he just might call.
Schaffel way behind. Turn card now. Tray of clubs. Schaffel now drawing dead. Smith gets the check mark. Schaffel's going to bet it. He's barking up the wrong tree. He makes it $1.5 million.
Schaffel fearless. He doesn't even have a diamond draw.
Smith comes right along with a call.
Smith seems very comfortable with his call.
Another diamond on the river, so 4 diamonds out there. Now Schaffel slows down.
That 4th diamond probably slowed the amateur down.
Now to Smith, who flopped the straight.
$2 million.
And he will risk $2 million here on the river.
George Smith knew exactly where he was at this entire hand. There is no doubt in his mind that Schaffel doesn't have a diamond.
That is Schaffel's son, Jeremy.
Thinking about calling you. I don't even have a diamond.
You don't have a diamond?
I don't even have one.
Maybe I'm bluffing with the best hand. Lay it down, Florida.
Texas and Florida, very congenial.
I'm going to let you show the bluff. You can have it.
Schaffel lays it down.
I didn't want that. I didn't want that card.
You had it, right? Nice hand.
Top pair for Schaffel cost him about 2 million chips. Jordan Smith takes the pot. He's now over 20 million.
Good lay down, I guess. You didn't have a diamond.
Nope.
Jordan Smith didn't need a diamond.
Team Schaffel needs to rally to confirm their reservation at the final table. Let's get back to our featured table. Antoine Saout re-raised all in again, this time with pocket 8s pre-flop. With ace-king, England's James Aikenhead will try to get rid of the last Frenchman in the main event.
The former train conductor against the engineering school dropout.
Aikenhead risking about 3/4 of his stack.
So Aikenhead in for most of his chips, Saout in for all of his chips.
And the flop. 4, 10, deuce, no ace, no king for Aikenhead. Saout still best.
Good news for Saout, and the pressure of trying to get to the November 9 etched on James Aikenhead's face.
Turn card now. Queen of diamonds. Aikenhead got a little help. He's got a straight draw now.
Boy, it's got to be excruciating for these two players. Aikenhead now can knock out Antoine Saout with a river ace, king, or jack.
The river card is a tray of clubs, and Saout wins the hand to double up to almost 13 million. James Aikenhead is hurting.
Well, I like how these two just go about their business.
Fortunes change quickly as James Aikenhead dangerously low with just $2.5 million, while Antoine Saout has moved up towards the middle of the pack, but still 5 eliminations to go.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Still 14 players remaining as everyone here at the Rio anxiously awaits the upcoming hands to determine the November 9. Phil Ivey remains near the bottom of the leaderboard and trying to hold on, while James Aikenhead certainly has to be very careful with his short stack. Under the gun is Antoine Saout, who has pocket 8s again and folds.
I think he wants a little respite from all the stress.
I don't blame him one bit. James Aikenhead, who just lost that hand to Saud, also will fold. Now action on Joe Cata. 10-7 of hearts.
Cata with a chance to best Peter Eastgate's record as youngest main event champion. And Cata played a bit with Eastgate during this main event.
A raise to $500,000 from the 21-year-old. Jamie Robbins, 10-6 of clubs.
Jamie Robbins once was 21.
He folds. Phil Ivey now in the small blind. 6 deuce off. Ivey's reaching.
Ivy in a 6 deuce off mood.
Phil has not played a lot of hands, so he's hoping to either take it down here or outmaneuver anybody who dares come along with him. A re-raise to $1.5 million.
My man smelling weakness across the table.
Good timing after Saud folded the pocket eights.
What is you playing, Phil?
Action back order, Joe.
A little over 6.
It's not all that much, and he's out of position. Cata has him easily covered, but Cata also has 10 high, and he's staring across at Phil Ivey.
He's not going to get a read on that face.
It's yours.
Cata will lay it down to Ivey.
This is almost like play during the money bubble. Play gets tight, and players, and my man is a player, take advantage.
The Humphreys are happy, and Joe Cata wonders if he did the right thing.
It's the old couple not here. Ivy.
The right behind you, directly behind you.
With a big button on. The big Ivy button.
Now, they wish they had a sweet couple with a big button with their picture on it.
Bell and Pat Humphreys have been here the whole way. They and Ivy's friend Mike the Mouth Matasso here to see if Phil can make the final table. Matasso and Ivy have had their share of deep runs this decade. As you can see on our tournament ticker, Ivy leads the group with 4 top 50 finishes since 2000. Matasso's 3 deep runs include those 2 trips to the final table, which might be matched by Jeff Schulman, who also has 3 top 50 finishes this decade, currently hoping to make his second final table appearance. Jeff at table 2 looks down at King Jack of clubs.
Shulman doesn't play a ton of tournaments, but boy, when he plays them, he makes them count.
Raised to $600,000. Darvin Moon, one of the big stacks, a suited Jack.
Darvin's slowed down lately. He's not getting the big hands he got earlier.
Folded over to Ben Lamb with pocket 10s in the small blind. All in for about $2.3 million.
The Las Vegas Poker Pro, with just 11 big blinds left, says now is the time.
The decision back to Schulman whether or not to call.
It's been tough to get Jeff Schulman's chips. He's been playing pretty snug poker, staying out of harm's way.
At this stage, any chips are valuable. Any chips you lose, critical.
But we're obviously at a critical juncture. This would be for about 15% of his stack, and he's not giving anything away.
And he'll take a shot and make the call. So Schulman's going to have to improve to knock off Ben Lamb.
Like Aikenhead and Saud earlier, these two fellas just go about their business.
Ben Lamb, known as Benba, has a very loyal group of supporters behind him.
And there's the Jeff Schulman rooting section. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Adam Schoenfeld. Jeff needs to recruit some new friends.
All right, Schulman trying to knock off Ben Lamb here. The flop. 9 ace-7. Lamb still good with his pocket 10s.
That's a well-lubricated Benba support group.
Turn card now. Queen of diamonds. Schulman picks up a gut shot straight draw.
And with Schulman picking up that draw, now a king, jack, or 10 would knock out Ben Lamb.
River card's another queen. Ben Lamb will win the hand and double up to Schulman. Benba with $5 million now.
Jeff cracks a smile. Schulman.
Is your heart? Oh, it's steady. It's still there.
Benba can relax for now. He still has a few fighting chips left. It's time for another edition of Deal Me In, brought to you by FullTiltPoker.net. At any stage of a tournament, you never want to be short-stacked. Howard Lederer found himself in that exact position at a 2008 mixed hold'em event.
I know I've been short chipped for a while, and 2 5s. It's not the best hand, but you can't wait around forever. So I opened it up. David Williams called with Jack 10. Flop comes ace 10-9. I make a pretty standard continuation bet, and I'm just hoping he's got a small pair. I've got to start creating some positive momentum, so I kind of took a shot. That's one of those weird spots where if I had a bigger stack, I might have been more likely to check.
He folds it.
Considering he's in position, considering all the possible hands I could have, I'm surprised that he folded. There are situations when you get short stacked when you have to take some extra chances, particularly in just a spot like that. I was thrilled to pick up that pot, but I'm surprised I won that hand.
Back inside the Rio, the professor's advice might help these 5 players at the bottom of the leaderboard. Of course, we've already seen Phil Ivey take a chance. But with a final table seat on the line, we'll have to see if the rest of the group can push the action. One player who can afford to let the action come to him is Darvin Moon, who's once again taken the chip lead. He's over $28 million. Darvin at table 2. Looks down at Trey Deuce of Hearts.
On the button.
Raise.
And he announces raise. Darvin makes it 700,000.
We've seen Darvin play big hands. Now we'll see him play a little hand.
James Calderaro, former nightclub owner from Florida, with ace-queen off.
Ace-queen off. Test your character. Will to live.
A re-raise to $1.8 million.
That's an odd raise. He just committed almost 40% of his stack.
Billy Kopp in the big blind with pocket tens.
Billy might figure Darvin just raised because he was on the button, and frankly, Calderaro's re-raise looks like a weak re-steal.
Kopp with his pocket tens is going to 4-bet it to $3.6 million. Moon gets out of the way with Trey Deuce.
Well, if you're putting in the $1.8 million, you're not putting it in to fold at this point.
Looks like I have to put it in, right?
Yeah, he's only got 11 big blinds left. He'd be in a race, getting a good price on his call. You got to gamble sometime.
Kopp turned the heat up on Calderaro.
I ain't gonna put it in.
And Calderaro got squeamish and lays it down.
That's a surprising play. After committing so many chips, I think Calderaro had to roll the dice there. Maybe he's thinking about the next money bump.
But Billy Kopp with his 4-bet takes the pot. He's up to 16 million chips now. Let's get back to the featured table. The short stack is taking a shot. James Aikenhead pushed all in with king-queen pre-flop, called by Jamie Robbins, who found aces.
Aikenhead pushed from the big blind with 12 big blinds left after Robbins had raised.
It's been quite a while since James had a comfortable chip stack. The main event has been a grind much of the way.
Jamie Robbins also short stacked.
It's my one time.
You only get a one-time one, so I'm marking it down.
At Aikenhead's first main event, he lasted 9 hours. His second, 9 hours, 15 minutes. His third, 9 hours, 30 minutes. Now trying to make the November 9. And that's going to help. Aikenhead flops kings up. But hold on, Robbins has a straight draw.
Oh, what bad luck here for Jamie Robbins. The San Diego pro now stands to be crippled.
Aikenhead feeling good about his chances now. A 7 on the turn. Aikenhead still ahead.
Aikenhead almost a 3-1 favorite to stay alive here and double up.
Aikenhead's cheering section looking for a blank on the river.
Still a lot of outs for Robbins. A jack or a 7 gives Robbins a better 2 pair. An ace gives him a set. A 10 gives Robbins a straight. Otherwise, James Aikenhead doubles up.
It's a 5, and Aikenhead will win the pot and stay alive.
That's his one time. It's in my book. A crippling blow to Jamie Robbins.
Robbins says goodbye, Mr. Chips, as he gives up almost all of his stack.
Listen, you're the best player I've ever played with. I like to see you go deeper. Nice playing.
I guess if Aikenhead is the best player Begleiter's ever played with, Phil Ivey would be the second best.
The bad beat on Robbins has left him with just over 1 million chips. And despite the double up, Aikenhead remains near the bottom of the leaderboard, but now has a little more breathing room. Action fast and furious here at the Rio. Over to table 2. Another big decision for another one of the short stacks. Jeff Schulman just raised with ace-king, enough to put Ben Lamb all in with ace-jack suited.
I call.
Lamb calls all in. He doubled up through Jeff a short time ago. He's going to try it again.
Lamb had 20 big blinds left. He was hoping he was in a race against the pocket pair. Instead, he is dominated.
Schulman couldn't knock him out with king-jack. He'll try it with ace-king.
You know, Adam Schoenfeld makes the Humphreys look like a mob.
All right, Ben Lamb trying to hang on.
There is the Ben Bomb mob. Ben Lamb at risk.
The flop now. 9 king Trey. That all but seals the deal for Jeff Schulman.
Oh, Schoenfeld with a pulse. Ben Lamb barely with a pulse. He needs a miracle runner to stay alive.
The turn card now. As Ben Lamb tries to hang on. And that 7 will not do it for him. He's drawing dead. Ben Lamb eliminated in 14th place by Jeff Schulman.
The second time Lamb has made a deep run in the main event in the last 3 years, and this one's a big cash.
He'll win over $633,000. He fought the hard fight and winds up 14th.
Jeff Schulman has had his share of knockouts.
Ben Lamb is out. Now only 13 players remain. The tension is building. The anticipation rising as everyone is wondering who will be next to go and who will be our next November 9.
The World Series of Poker presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back inside the Rio, only 13 players remaining, but 195 million chips in play, and Jamie Robbins only has about 1 million of them. On the Jack Link's Beef Jerky pocket cam, King Deuce, and he will fold that. Action to Phil Ivey. Ivey with King 10 offsuit. From early position, a raise to 600,000.
Raise 600,000.
Steve Begleiter.
Rags.
He mucks the rags. As does Saoud, and Aiken head over to Eric Buckman.
Rags.
He knows what to do with rags. Joe Cata in the big blind. 8-6 of hearts.
Almost rags. Cata played with Ivey at an earlier World Series event this year. They both cashed. Ivey was 18th, Cata 64th.
Cata makes the call. Ivey pushed Cata off his hand the last time these two met pre-flop. Both were trying to steal the blinds. Flop is ace 7-5. Neither pair is up. Ivey is best with his king. Cata picked up an up and down straight draw. Joe first to act. He checks.
Cata would like to see a free one.
You rarely get anything for free from Phil Ivey. And he'll bet half the pot, 800,000.
Well, even if the ace hit Ivey, Cata knows that if he hits his straight, he could bust Ivey.
Cata with the call.
I would have loved to have seen Cata check raise Phil Ivey there. Woo-hoo!
All right, turn card now. Tray of diamonds. Ivey still with the best of it, but neither with a real hand. Cata checked.
You mentioned Phil also with nothing, but he's got position and he's got the Ivey factor.
And he bets 1.5 million. Ivey has invested about 40% of his stack in this hand.
Well, this is a tougher call for Cata. He's got no hand. He could hit his straight, but if it's a diamond, for all he knows, he still might lose. And I'd still pay good money to see him check raise Phil. Phil would fold.
Cata is the one who folds here, and Ivey takes the pot against the young gun once again.
By the way, the Humphreys and I are moving into Phil Ivey's guest house after Thanksgiving.
So Joe Cata is still trying to figure out how to beat Phil Ivey, who is now once again over 8 million chips. Cata not willing to take a chance with that straight draw, playing a little more cautiously, being so close to the November 9, hoping to avoid repeating a friend's painful main event experience.
Making this far, it's a dream come true. It's really hard to go this far, especially in this big of a player field. Dean Hamrick, good friends of mine.
Dean Hamrick finishes in 10th place.
I took 10th last year. He told me, whatever you do, don't take 10th place.
Disappointment for him, but elation for our final 9.
That's it, man. You know, that's it. That's ball game, you know, right there.
Kelly Kim might be the happiest man in the room. Dean Hamrick, the most heartbroken.
It almost would have rather happened with 28 people left. To be that close and actually sitting there, it sucks, man. It sucked.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime shot. Not many times do you get a chance to get this far. I definitely think I have what it takes to make it to the final table. So right now, it's definitely a possibility, and I'm definitely really excited for it.
Like Hamrick, Cata is from Michigan. Joe's 21 years old, trying to replace Peter Eastgate as youngest main event champ ever.
The back-and-forth battle for the top of the leaderboard being won by Steve Begleiter right now. Buckman in second. Darvin Moon is in third. Looking at the bottom of the list, Jamie Robbins still with the short stack. Phil Ivey showing some improvement with over 8 million chips, but out of the top 9. And last year's third-place finisher, Dennis Phillips, is in the house. Action is on Joe Cata. Joe has aces.
Cata was the chip leader at his day 1 session, and he's never given them back.
A raise to 600,000. Jamie Robbins with pocket tens. And he is all in for 1.37 million.
Robbins with less than 6 big blinds left. He'll love those tens until he sees the aces.
Ivey with 7-4.
Phil hates giving up his button.
Action on the small blind, Steve Begleiter, Jack 6, and he will fold. Now to the big blind, Antoine Saoud. And he won't play those. An automatic call from Cata to put Robbins at risk. Robbins hates to see the aces.
Jamie Robbins knows that pocket aces can be cracked.
Kata trying to get us closer to the final table.
Just one time. Just one time. My turn.
Let's go, J-Rob, one time.
Okay, this is his one time. Got to mark it in my book.
Good call, Joe. Good call. Good call.
Nice read.
A good call, a nice read by Joe Kata.
All right, so Kata trying to knock off Robbins. Aces against tens. Here's the flop. 6 king deuce. The aces hold up for Joe Kata.
No backdoor outs for Jamie Robbins. He's simply going to need a 10 now.
Uh-oh, he took off the glasses. That's akin to waving the white flag.
Turn card, please.
Turn card now. 5 of clubs. Robbins down to his last chance.
Jamie looking for the 10 ball.
Each player's cheering section on pins and needles with the river to come.
Joe Kata ready for the knockout. Jamie Robbins needs a 10 and a 10 only, or he is wamboozled.
And the river card. Oh, he got the 10. Jamie Robbins stays alive.
He got his one time, no more.
Camp Kata can't believe it. Nothing like a little drama.
I believe Dennis Phillips said, wow.
It's brutal. Man, I seen more hands from behind win than ahead.
Jamie Robbins giddy with his river miracle. It takes more than pocket aces to make the November 9. Back at the Rio, still only 13 players remaining, and for these 5 at the bottom of the leaderboard, it's a tense time. But if you can just make it to the November 9, anything can happen. 07 champ Jerry Yang proved that when he started the final table with the second shortest stack. James Calderero, with the shortest stack left, is in danger of going out. He's all in with King Jack against the pair of 10s of Kevin Schaffel.
This is an all-Florida matchup. Calderero lives in Venice, Schaffel in Coral Springs. Calderero is down to less than 8 big blinds. Schaffel called him from the big blind.
All right, here's the flop. It is deuce queen 5. Calderero likes none of that.
Not much hope on that flop for Calderero.
But it's not over yet. Jeremy Schaffel still nervous.
Hey, Calderero forgot to call for his one time.
He needs it. That queen does not help him.
The paint.
Calderero keeps seeing the wrong paint on the board.
Schaffel on the verge of a knockout.
Calderero needs his one time now. A king or a jack, or he's gone.
The river card's a 5 of diamonds. Calderero knocked out in 13th place.
So we're down to our last 12. 3 knockouts to our November 9.
Kevin Schaffel stacks, Jeremy Schaffel tweets, and James Calderero's first main event cash is worth $633,000. Kevin Schaffel over $12 million now. James Calderero leaves the main event like 6,480 players before him. And in this edition of The Nuts, we look back at the 2009 main event and realize no matter where you finish, all but one player will regret saying the words, all in.
Let the games begin.
It's all or nothing, baby. It's never ever maybe. You think I might be crazy, but I gotta be all in.
Nothing. I call your bluff.
George is getting angry.
I'm holding right here is Royal Flush, and you're boat down the river with the rest of the blank. It's a very bad.
The main event, boys.
Hey, thanks.
Ivy's been my man to win the main event for the last 7 years.
I'm going to deliver your rap down. Once the hand I've been dealt, it makes me wanna yell.
Yeah! Did this really happen to me?
That's what I'm talking about.
My head is pounding.
Annie, you're fired.
Oh, baby!
Kiss me. Punish him one time.
Back up to the top. Though I'm on a roll, I gotta go all in.
Hollywood is alive and well in Las Vegas.
Joe Hashim is one of the game's premier performers.
All in, all in. It's all or nothing, baby. It's never ever maybe. You think I might be crazy, but I gotta be all in. It's all or nothing, baby. It's never ever maybe. You think I might be crazy.
Change of underwear, please.
All in.
Sandro's spectacular 2009 is over.
Spend half my life on the search for nothing. I came up with something. It's something.
Peter Eastgate's extraordinary 2-year run has finally come to an end.
All in, baby. Let's go.
I'm all in.
Oh, it's the spade!
No back-to-back final tables for Phillips, but he didn't miss by much.
Good in these situations.
After 6,493 players are all in and all out, only the one remaining can capture that coveted prize. Billy Kopp, with almost 20 million chips, has a good shot to take the next step. He looks down at 5 tray of diamonds under the gun.
Billy's parents back home in Kentucky following his progress online every day.
A raise to 600,000. Next to act, Darvin Moon, Queen Jack of diamonds from the small blind.
I don't know if they have the internet in Western Maryland yet.
He will make the call for 480,000.
Darvin with 25 million chips, Billy with nearly 20 million.
And they will go heads up to the flop. The flop is king, 9, deuce, all diamonds. Oh my goodness, Moon with the better of the 2 diamond flushes.
2 of the biggest stacks in the room on a collision course here.
Darvin Moon first to act. He will check his flush.
You flop a flush 6-handed, you gotta believe you're best.
Billy Kopp bets about half the pot, 750,000.
Billy might have checked there, but I guess he's protecting his hand in case Darvin is holding 1 diamond. Darvin would only be worried about the ace of diamonds.
Darvin makes the call.
Just a smooth call.
All right, to the turn we go. It is another deuce pairing the board. Darvin Moon earns the check mark with that flush, and he checks again.
A full house possibility now on the board. That might slow down both players. But it looks like Billy wants to protect his hand against the diamond draw again, and again he's stepping into dangerous territory.
He bets a little more than 2 million. He's going to regret that. Darvin Moon now.
Raise.
Announces a raise. He's going to make it 6 million to go.
Billy Kopp in a bit of a pickle here. With as many chips as he has, and with Darvin having him covered, Billy could have played small ball and checked the turn.
Darvin's wife, Wendy, watching her man involved in another big pot.
If this close to the final table, you want to control the size of the pot. See, if Billy checked the turn and a diamond hit the river and Darvin leads out, it's an easy fold.
Smaller.
But Billy Kopp shoves.
Wow, I didn't expect that, Lon.
My goodness.
Billy has no doubt his flush is good. It's not. If Darvin calls, Billy is gone.
The board paired, and this is for most of Darvin's chips.
I call.
Darvin Moon makes the call.
It's over.
Billy Kopp sees in an eye blink his main event is done.
Oh my goodness. Billy Kopp started this hand with nearly 20 million chips. His November 9 ticket was virtually punched. He's gone.
Darvin with over 45 million now. Wendy Moon can book their tickets to the final table. Her husband is the overwhelming chip leader.
Darvin with a huge call there. Flush over flush. Billy Kopp overplays his and shockingly plays himself out of the main event.
What's he doing raising 3/4? 3-5. There's 7. Yeah, with a stack like that.
Talk about big stacks. Darvin Moon now owns nearly a quarter of the chips in play. That hand will be talked about for years to come. You just don't get this close that often. Billy Kopp may have given away a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Only 11 players now remain inside the Rio, and as we saw, bad decisions can have catastrophic consequences. Speaking of bad decisions, Norman, it's time for you to play the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand.
And I tell you, Billy Kopp will be replaying that last hand in his head for quite a while.
And Phil Ivey once again has the wild card hand. He will raise to 620,000.
Phil's still relatively short stacked, and we're getting close to the final table. He's not messing around. I'll put him on pocket 8s.
Pocket 7s for Joe Cata in the big blind.
I'm glad I didn't put Phil on pocket 7s. We'd have no 7s left.
Cata makes the call.
That's a pretty good hand, 6-handed. Cata could have repopped it, but he respects Phil's raise and might remember Phil strong-armed him a couple of times earlier.
Heads up to the flop. Deuce, deuce, 4. Cata has his pair of 7s and the deuces on board.
That's a good flop for Cata, unless Joe, like me, thinks Phil has a bigger pocket pair.
Cata first to act. He checks. Now Phil Ivey with position. Bets 800,000.
If Phil had pocket 8s, he might bet there in case Cata has 2 big cards. He'd hate to give him a free look at the turn and then a big card pops up.
Phil has pushed Cata around both in and out of position.
Cata would fold here, obviously, if he put Phil in a bigger pair. Then again, Phil might have had 2 big cards and made a continuation bet.
Cata says he's sick and tired of it, not going to take it anymore. Raises to 1.85 million.
Boy, you only get to check raise Phil Ivey so many times in your life. It's like kicking the Great Wall of China. It's a thrill. Even if Cata's wrong, I love it. He's telling Phil, you got nothing, pal. You didn't get any part of that flop, Mr. Big Game 7-time bracelet winner.
I wonder if he's right. Oh, he had Jack 9. Cata was right.
Easy fold for Phil. Bad call on my part. Great read by Cata.
Joe wins the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand.
How you gonna do it? Huh? You wanted to subconsciously.
What would have happened?
Cata decides he's not in such a chatty mood after all.
Are chips from Phil Ivey considered more valuable?
They should be worth 110% of their face value.
You see, Darvin Moon over $44 million. Buckman and Beglighter very strong. The two short stacks with 2 knockouts to go before our November 9 are James Aikenhead and Jamie Robbins. Let's keep it here at the feature table. Action on. Jamie Robbins, the shortest of stacks, and he's going to move all in with King Queen off.
Robbins under the gun, pushes with only 10 big blinds left.
Phil Ivey now with a 10 of hearts and an ace of hearts.
How much is that?
Phil needs about $2.3 million to call.
2.35.
I'll call it.
Call.
Phil Ivey makes the call to put Robbins at risk. It's folded around to the big blind. Cata folds, so Robbins King Queen against Ivey's ace 10.
That call cost Phil Ivey 1/3 of his stack.
I didn't like it when he showed the king first.
Can Robbins hang on again, or will Phil Ivey bring us closer to the final table lineup?
King ball. Queen of hearts. No Queen of hearts. Queen of clubs.
It's a good thing for Ivey that Robbins already has used his one time. I marked it because if Phil loses his hand, he would be the short stack.
Another big moment here at the main event.
Come on, cards.
Jamie Robbins also thinking come on cards, but probably different cards than the Ivey camp is thinking.
Ivey's the favorite. Neither player has a pair, so everything is live. Here's the flop. Trey 8 Trey. Ivey's ace keeps him ahead.
Got some spades.
Robbins could backdoor a flush. He'd be very happy with a king or a queen, though.
Turn card now. Is another Trey. Phil is fine with that card.
River again.
If an 8 comes on the river, they would chop the pot. Each would have a full house on the board. A king or a queen would leave Phil Ivey short stacked. Otherwise, Jamie Robbins is gone.
The river card now is a 5 of clubs. Robbins can't pull the miracle this time. He's knocked out in 11th place.
Take it down, buddy. Take it down.
Robbins earns almost $897,000.
My man, one knockout away from the final table. I'm starting to hyperventilate.
And with Jamie Robbins' exit, the remaining players will now combine to one table. And 10 men will play for the last 9 spots for a seat on the game's biggest stage to be one of the November 9. 10 players, 9 seats. Simple math means one mistake could lead to one man's cruel fate, and we will have our November 9. Who will make way for our November 9? The audience inside the Rio is tense yet filled with excitement. They know each player is so close to making the final table, but is also one misstep from elimination, and no one wants to be left out.
And Darvin Moon, the unlikely chip leader, 10-handed.
Here are the chip counts for our final 10 players. Moon way out in front, followed by Eric Buckman, Steve Beglighter, and Jeff Schulman. At the other end of the spectrum, James Aikenhead, Antoine Saout, and Phil Ivey are the short stacks.
Phil Ivey not out of danger here, but Phil, this is your time. This is my time. This is our time.
Nearly 6,500 people began this main event. We're down to our final 10 players. You heard Dean Hamrick. To go out at this point of the tournament, so close to the final table, is crushing. Action on Darvin Moon. He's got to be feeling pretty good right now. He folds to Phil Ivey.
Phil Ivey has been in this exact spot before, and he finished 10th.
2003. Chris Moneymaker knocked him out. To Steve Beglighter, ace king of diamonds.
This is Beglighter's first time here. He's never even cashed in a World Series event before.
He's one of the top 3 stacks. He announces a raise to $650,000. Joe Cata in the big blind. Pocket 5s.
And of course, Cata on the doorstep of history. He would be the youngest ever to make the main event final table with a chance to become the youngest ever to win it.
He's going to repop it to $1.7 million. Action back to Beglighter.
How much you playing total, sir?
Like 14.
14's a lot, but it's not as much as Begleiter's $27 million.
5.5.
Begleiter re-raises to $5.5 million with his ace-king.
Good 4-bet by Begleiter. He's telling Kata, are you ready to play for the rest of your chips and maybe follow in your friend Dean Hamrick's footsteps out of the November 9?
Begleiter's buddies get restless when Steve gets aggressive. 50. Kata will lay it down.
I can't disagree with Kata there. And that was well played by the Wall Street Warrior.
Begleiter outmaneuvered Joe Kata.
Well, like I'd like to see a flop there.
And Begleiter correctly surmised that Kata probably would not pay to see a flop.
Team Beggs right now sitting pretty tin-handed, but anything is possible as we have seen all the rooting sections for the players filled with nervous energy. One more to go.
And ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Adam Schoenfeld.
November 10th is when that bracelet will be won, along with $8.5 million. Action on Phil Ivey. Phil looks at Queen Trey. Do you mind if he folds his way to the final table now?
He can do whatever he likes as long as we make it.
Buckman with over 34 million chips right now. King 9 of hearts.
On day 7, Buckman was all in with pocket 8s against pocket kings, and he's made it here.
A raise to $650,000. Folded over to Jeff Schulman.
Schulman's had a pretty smooth ride.
He folds now to the National Bank and Trust of Darvin Moon. Pocket 8s.
Darvin Moon has had a dreamlike journey.
A call, and the biggest stack wants to play with the second biggest stack. Buckman now to Jordan Smith. Wow, what a time to get aces.
I don't know, Lon. At this point, I'd rather have 7 deuce and get the heck out of Dodge.
I don't think Smith will lay down. Indeed, he will raise it to $2.6 million.
He wants to end it here, or at worst, go heads up against someone he'd have crushed.
Back to the original raiser, Eric Buckman. He lays it down. Darvin Moon with pocket 8s.
Well, of course, for Darvin, $1.95 million. It's not even 5% of his stack.
The chip leader, Darvin Moon, will make that call. The good news for Smith, he's heads up with the aces. The bad news, he's against the biggest stack. Smith with a good chance to pick up some more chips. All right, here's the flop. 8 deuce 4. Wow, that is the Darvin Moon we know hitting the set.
What a dangerous spot here for Smith. And just as Darvin keeps telling everyone, he keeps getting aces or kings or flopping sets.
Smith checked.
$4 million.
Darvin bets $4 million with the best hand.
Bet $4 million.
Call.
All in and a call. Jordan Smith at risk.
And Darvin Moon, for the first time, showing some emotion, then decides to sit right back down. Jordan Smith about to miss the November 9. Darvin Moon, our chip leader, about to become our massive chip leader.
Like so many before him, Smith runs into the Moon Man buzzsaw, and this could cut the field to 9.
We're almost there, Phil. And Jordan Smith now staring straight at that dreaded bubble.
The turn card now is a 5. That gives some help to Smith.
Gives you more outs.
I don't know if Jordan Smith is thinking about outs or if he's thinking about oblivion.
Now Phil Ivey and the rest of the players one card from being part of the November 9. Coming up, the most anticipated river card of the 2009 World Series of Poker.
Jordan Smith with a straight draw. He needs an ace or a 3, or our November 9 is set.
The river card is a 10, and that is it. Say hello to the November 9. And with that pot, Darvin Moon owns almost 59 million chips.
And the short stack James Aikenhead is swallowed up by the masses.
Jordan Smith on the outside looking in wins almost $900,000.
We're going to the November 9. Well, I was going anyway, but now I've got my main man coming along. Phil Ivey finally makes the main event final table. Ivey.
Wendy Moon will be there, and her man Darvin will lead the way, holding 30% of the chips at the final table.
Final table. I'm going to need it, buddy. That's why it's been running the whole tournament, man. It's just unreal.
Aikenhead with just a few chips, ecstatic.
Kevin Schaffel soaking up the moment. Jeff Schulman, like his friend Mike Matusow, earns his second main event final table, and after several deep runs, Phil Ivey will be there. Our November 9 is set. 9 players have grabbed a seat at the final table, and one will be this year's world champion. Can one of the short stacks move all the way to the top of the leaderboard and take the title? Will one of the previously unknown players like chip leader Darvin Moon be able to introduce himself as main event champion? Can Joe Cata eclipse Peter Eastgate's record as the youngest to win the main event? Will Jeff Schulman's final table experience at the main event help propel him to a championship? Or will Phil Ivey cement his place among the best of all time with a world title? Plenty of questions surround this November 9, and soon there will be one answer. What a sight it's going to be. For Norman Chad, I'm Lon McCarran. We'll see you at the final table of the World Series of Poker.